Welcome to Chat and Craft with Lorraine. I'm Lorraine Tierney, and you can find me on Facebook at Chat and Craft with Lorraine or on my blog, also called chatandcraftwithlorraine.com. Today, I thought we'd make a couple of cards that use stamps that you would traditionally color in, but do them in a way that you don't need to color them in. We'll still add color, but you won't need to have blends, or you won't need to um, do all the shading and the coloring to have it look a certain way. So it's kind of fun to look at some different ways to do things. I usually go live on Sunday afternoons, but I'm doing it today because we have some family plans tomorrow. So if you don't catch this live, please let me know if you watch the replay. And if you do catch me live, please say hello so I'll know that you're watching. Okay, so the first stamp set we're going to use is the framed florets. And this is a photopolymer stamp set, so it's a clear one. And it also comes with, in a bundle with some awesome dies that cut out ovals, the stamped images, and some extra little things. So it's a really great stamp set. So we're going to use this stamp today, which is just gorgeous. This picture doesn't do it justice. It's a beautiful stamp. So the first thing we're going to do is use a blending brush and some inks to make a background. So I'm going to use this as a Valentine card. So I picked three Valentine-ish colors. I have Flirty Flamingo, Polished Pink, and Sweet Sorbet. And we're going to start with the lightest color. So I'm going to start with the Flirty Flamingo. And I have one blending brush that I generally use with the reds. You can see it's pretty dirty. I'm going to do a before and after washing these today because I think that will be kind of fun. So I'm going to just rub this. I have a microfiber cloth. I'm just going to get some ink off with that. You'll see that I'm getting ink off here, even though when I rub it on the paper, well, a little bit's coming off. But sometimes you get more off with the microfiber cloth than you do with the paper. I'm going to start with the lightest color because that way I won't contaminate the next ink pad with a dark color. A lighter color will be absorbed and ignored a little better. I'm going to show you a card I did with this technique at the end, and I started with the Flirty Flamingo at the bottom. So I think on this one I'm going to start at the top and see if it looks any different. So I'm rubbing this on my ink pad with some pretty good pressure. And then I'm going to tap it off a little bit on my paper because sometimes you get a really dark blotch to start with. And I'm going to start in the middle because I don't like when the edges get super saturated with the ink. So I'm just going to do some Flirty Flamingo up here. And I'm going to get it, I'm sorry if it's shaking the camera a little bit. I don't know how to avoid that because I'm using some good pressure. And I want to get pretty good coverage with this color. Okay. Oh, and I tried to put my fingers on a piece of scrap because it looks like I've already gotten some ink on that, but we'll hope that doesn't show too much. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my polished pink color. I wiped the brush off just a little bit and got some more color. And I'm going to go over here. And I'm purposefully going to go right over the edge of my other color and blend it together a little bit. And I want to get it fairly dark. I want a nice saturated color in there. The Flirty Flamingo has a bit of an orangier tint. I can see it on the what you're seeing also. So I'm going to give it just a little pink over it to try to tone that down a little bit. It doesn't look as orangey in real life as it does there. And I'm going to give this a little wipe. And I'm going to go to the Sweet Sorbet, which is the darkest color. And I'm going to start putting that in this lower part. And again, I want to get it pretty rich in there, pretty dark. You can see I have some variation right now, so I'll just keep adding until I get it a little more solid. And now I feel like my polished pink in the middle changes too abruptly. So I'm going to go in and add, oh, I just put my hand in the Sweet Sorbet. And that's a really juicy ink pad. I'm going to add a little more polished pink in here, because I like that pinkiness for Valentine's. Okay. And those are kind of all smoothed in together. All right, I'm going to put these colors away. And I have my stamp here. It's got something, little something stuck on it. Piece of paper or maybe a little ink. Where's my chamois? Just going to clean that off one more time. See if I can get that little thing out of there. Okay. And I'm going to use Memento ink. And we're going to stamp some of these flowers on there. So I'm going to start at the bottom. And I'm going to put one right there. This is a card I'm casing from a demonstrator in Australia who blogs at Tatiana Creative. I don't know what her name is, but she did a Christmas card with this in the purples and the blues, and I just loved it. It's one of those cards that kept, I just kept being in my mind, and I kept thinking about, so I decided I had to do it. Whoops. So you can see I'm just stamping this, and I'm going to stamp right off the edge over there and right off the edge over here. And maybe just a tad there and just a little tiny thing right there. Okay. And now on this one, this is going to be a little different than the other one I'm going to show you. I think I will put my sentiment on this die. This is from the Something Fancy bundle. It has a great stamp set with a lot of sentiments, and then it has dies that layer and cut the sentiments out. That's the Something Fancy. So I'm going to use that. The die is from that, and I'm going to use Nothing Fancy, Just Love on this. I thought that would make a nice Valentine. So let's see how I can do on this one. There we go. Nothing fancy, just love. And let's go ahead and put this on the card base before I start building it. So I just have a thick basic white card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and scored at 4 1/4. And I have a dog wandering around right here. I'm sorry if you can hear the click-clack of the feet and the jingle of the collar. All right. So I'm going to put this on the front. Let me grab some dimensionals. And I'm going to put some dimensionals in the very center of this because I'm not sure where I want to put those little pieces just yet. And I just dropped it on my card. There we go. Okay, and I need to cover that smudge up. So that's going to determine my placement a little bit. Now, I can put these on white, just like that. Or I could color them a little bit with my blending brush. I think I'm going to put a little bit of color on them. They look pretty stark right there. So here's my blending brush, and I don't want to rip this or bend this, so I'm just going to gently put a little color on it. Maybe get it a little darker on one side. There we go. And then they're just not quite so stark. Oh, I could even let it overlap a little bit. So I think I will do that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue, the green glue or the liquid glue, and just slide that in. Like that. And then a little bit on this one. And the same kind of thing. Slide it in. I didn't want that end to stick out. And then I could do some little flicks and splatters if I wanted on that, but I think I'm going to leave that just plain like that. Let me flip this over because it changes the coloring a little bit. So there's that one with the raised sentiment and some die cuts from the framed florets. And then here's one I did that's just stamps, ink, and paper. Same colors, but the flirty flamingo is at the bottom. So that's one way to use those stamps without having to do a lot of coloring. And they look really, really pretty like that. Now I'm going to show you another one. Let's see, let's open this up. I'm going to use the Adorable Owls. This is a set that you can get free from Celebration. And let me clean this stamp and get rid of this. I'm always tempted to put the stamp, just leave it right here, but I've lost stamps that way. So I'm going to take a second and put it inside. Okay. And I'm going to stamp some owls on here. And the owls look beautiful colored in, and they're not all that difficult, but they do take a variety of blends and some shading, and I'm never quite sure how to do it. So I'm going to show you something a little bit different that I saw. So I'm going to put this guy right there. I'm going to use all three of the owls. And I'm going to use the party hat guy. And I'm purposefully not getting the entire owl in the frame. Hi, Melanie. Thank you. I'm glad you like that card. I'm going to poke this one in this way and add an angle a little bit, or I guess you can, that will be determined by how I put it on the paper. And then I need my bow tie owl. I just think these owls are so adorable. Okay. And I'm going to put the sky peeking out. Okay. Now I'm going to sit down a little bit on this, so I might disappear from the side camera. Well, I guess you can still see me a little bit. And I'm grabbing some blends, but this is going to be really easy blend coloring. And I have three of the in colors. I have the Orchid Oasis, light and dark, the Parakeet Party, light and dark, and the Sweet Sorbet, light and dark. So I'm going to start with the light Orchid Oasis, and I'm going to color the background and not the owl. So that's much easier to do, because once I get away from the owl, I don't really have to be all that careful with what I'm doing. We'll see if I can color and talk at the same time. Might not be all that easy. Let me just get this outline part done. Reminds me of fussy cutting and talking at the same time. I'm not the best fussy cutter as it is, so talking and fussy cutting is not something I can do very well. Okay, now I can just use some broad strokes to color the rest of this in. These circles I cut with the Stylish Shapes dies that kind of give you that needle stitching around the edge. And now I'm going to take my dark one and just outline a little bit closer to, you're not going to believe what my dog just did. This dog is trying to get my attention. It just went and got ibuprofen from off the counter someplace and decided it was going to chew on it. Lie down. Lie down. I have a friend that would count that as reason 972 not to have a dog, but we know they're great companions. They just get a little nudgy sometimes, don't they? Okay, and I'm going to try to blend that in just a little bit. But that's much less shading, much less in terms of colors than you would need if you were going to color the owl. I am going to color his little bow tie in because that is just so cute. And I want to make that pop. There we go. And I'll probably do this little hat. So I'm going to do the light sorbet around this one since I used the green. I don't want to put green around him. And maybe I'll do my dark line first. And then I'll just blend it out once. And you'll see this is going to make a really cute, fun Valentine. Stick with me through this coloring part if you don't mind. I should have colored at least one of these ahead of time, but I didn't think of it. Tell me in the comments, do you like to color? Are you a blends person and a coloring person? Thanks, Jan. Or would you rather do something like this that doesn't require the precision in the coloring? I like to color. I like to use the watercolor pencils. I like to use the blends. I'm not the best at shading. I'm thinking about taking a class from another demonstrator to learn a little bit more about using blends because some people just look like such artists with them. Okay, and now I'm going to do the parakeet party on this dude, and I'm going to do the dark around him first. He doesn't have a little accessory to color, so I guess I'm just gonna leave him as he is. Okay, and now we'll color around him. Sorry for the squeaky sound. I don't know how to avoid that. I'm trying to make sure that I blend that little bit of darker area in. You never want to use these blends directly on your card because they soak through and they'll show up on the inside of your card in a way that you won't be happy about. You can see they soak right through. Okay, so now we're going to take that, and I was thinking about, wasn't sure whether I wanted to just put it on white. Yeah, I don't want it on the red. So we're going to put it on a mat of the basic white first. And we'll put our 3 little guys on there, and I want to fit a sentiment in. Did I get some? I did. How'd I get something on there? Let's see if I can get that off. Well, maybe we'll flip it over and it will be on the back. All right, so I'm gonna do my much love, nothing fancy, just love sentiment on here first, and then we can move things around it. So let's see if I can get this straight. See if I can get there we go. All right, so now I'm going to put this on my card front first so that I can see my border and my edges a little bit better. There we go. I think I like the color set up the way I just had it a minute ago. Okay, and I'm going to put the green one and the sweet sorbet one down flat and then pop up the Orchid Oasis one. I want this on my mat, but not covering up my words. Okay, now this one. And we'll put some dimensionals on this one. I can put my fingers in that ink if I'm not careful. And this one's gonna go here. And I'm all out of the in color dots, but if I had some of those, I have ordered some, they're not in yet, I would put some of those around here for another little pop of color. But there's an easy way to use your owls without having to worry about doing too much color. This guy doesn't have any color on him, so I think I want to give him a little color. Do I want to give him a purple beak or some Orchid Oasis eyes? I'm going to go for the eyes. Hopefully I won't hate it. If I hate it, I'll just have to start over again. There you go. Now he's got a little color too. I like it. So there's a couple of ways to make cards that you don't have to feel like you're an expert in coloring. And you can make some pretty cards. I hope you'll give your blending brushes a try. And I hope you'll do a little background coloring on a stamp that you have. You could do background coloring on this kind of a flower stamp also. The possibilities are endless. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for catching the replay. And I hope I'll see you again the next time I come on. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks.